so much to say. Just buckle up. I got a lot to say about this shit with Deontay Wilder. The press conference with Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury and him going and Deontay Wilder going off on Radio Raheem. And I got a lot of shit to break down, man. So I saw the press conference of Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. I watched it, part of it yesterday live, but I didn't catch everything. But I actually watched it again just to get a better feel of what's going on. So I will say this. I would say this. They did their best to try to sell the fight. You know, ticket sales are still struggling. You know, I did check out, was it ASX.com or whatever that vendor site is to purchase tickets. There's still a lot of seats left. You know, still a lot of seats left. But they're doing what they can to promote and sell this fight. And they're doing what they're trying to do what they can. You know, because they know ticket sales are struggling right now. And I want this fight to sell out. I want it to be successful. You know, and I fully support Deontay Wilder, and I'm also changing my pick too. I picked Tyson Fury to win because he's the better boxer, but I'm picking Deontay Wilder because, and you could say it's an emotional pick. You could say that, but I was talking about strictly boxing. But when it came down to exposing, right, the Buckdancing Coon Code authors who act like they don't understand why Deontay Wilder got angry and upset at Radio Raheem for asking a dumbass question about what did you mean by our people were fighting over 400 years? I'll get to that later. But let me just start by saying, you know, the press conference, like I said, they did their best job to sell the fight. You know, even with the face-off they had, Deontay Wilder was saying, I'm gonna knock you the fuck out. Obviously, Deontay was getting hype. He was getting emotional, getting upset. And I want him to show emotion, but I want him to actually, you know, have that in the ring and land that big straight right hand on Tyson Fury. And so here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. Tyson Fury has came in, and I'm gonna just be straight up and honest. He's came in because of his storyline, him being under depression, having mental health issues, substance abuse, drug abuse, cocaine, all of that, and losing a massive amount of weight. People in America are gravitating towards his story more so than Deontay Wilder, because Deontay Wilder is a heavyweight champion of the world since 2015. WBC heavyweight champion of the world since 2015. 40-0, 39 KOs, and people, he's let's just say this, he does not get the recognition he deserves. He has not been promoted properly. And as I said before, Deontay Wilder is not the most articulate person. He has a lot of things he wants to say, but he cannot articulate it properly. And so a guy like that, when you ask him certain questions, and especially if you are a black guy, a so-called reporter, asking Deontay Wilder why he mentioned our people have been fighting for over 400 years. Can you explain that? And you're a black reporter. That's a dumbass, stupid-ass question. That means Deontay Wilder exposed you for being a buck-dancing coon. And I'll explain why. Because when you put a microphone in front of a black person who is a victim of racism, white supremacy, whether you admit it or not, if you're classified as black, Negro, African American, etc., you are a victim of racism, white supremacy. Point blank and simple. When you put a microphone in front of a black man and you ask him a question about what do you mean by our people have been fighting for over 400 years? And technically, it has not been 400 years. It's been over 500 years, because the first African slave from the transatlantic slave trade that was commissioned by the Roman Catholic Church. The Roman Catholic Church commissioned and funded the transatlantic slave trade. The first slave, the first African slave, and from antebellum slavery, the first slave to hit U.S. soil was in the year 1505. You can look up the slave records. I have many books to reference that as well. So it's been 1505. It's been the first African slave to set foot on U.S. soil. So that has been over 500 years. So when Radio Raheem asked him that question, it lit a fire on Deontay Wilder. Like, how dare you ask me that question when you're black yourself? You know exactly what I mean, that our people have been fighting for over 500 years. You know exactly what I'm saying. I shouldn't have to explain it. And then Deontay Wilder got up in Radio Raheem's face and took his glasses off like he was real upset. I don't blame it, and I would be the same way as well. I'm like, why, as a black reporter, would you ask me a dumbass question like that? You know? Now, I would have, because Deontay Wilder is not the most articulate person. Like I said, he cannot articulate his thoughts properly to understand and break down why our people have been mistreated for over 500 years. But I would have said, Radio Raheem, why would you ask me a dumbass question like that? You look on the news every day. You know, collectively as a group, black people have been on the bottom of the totem pole for every statistical category that you can think of. It'll take us 200 years to amass wealth of a white family or a non-black family. We are still suffering from post-traumatic slavery disorder, which affects our DNA, epigenetics, right? We have suffered atrocities for over 500 years collectively as a group, and we have not been rewarded with reparations. Free labor, mistreatment, disenfranchisement, subjugation, colonization. You even got so-called Christian missionaries going into remote islands who have our melanated brothers and sisters in North Sentinel Island, the Sentinelese. They're black. You even have Christian missionaries trying to colonize our people who have not been colonized by modern society, and they have been in that island for 60,000 years. So white people have been trying to destroy and keep our people disenfranchised, docile, etc. for over 500 years, including our folks in remote islands who have not been colonized by white supremacy. So this is a worldwide phenomenon. We still got legal lynchings to this day. Check out Donye Jones. I did a story about him. We got, you know, you have a system that can oppress black people and pin crimes on black people just to keep up with the stats and make sure they arrest black people and frame them for no reason. Check out the story I did about a police chief in Biscayne Park, Miami, Florida, who was arrested for only 3 years for framing black people, just so that his stats, his police department stats, can have an 100% conviction rate or arrest rate. Well, the stats, they wanted their stats to make sure they are at least 95% or up. So it's all about stat massaging and making sure their stats look good, and they want to make black people the guinea pig of their stats, right? So we're up against every statistical category you can think of: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Non-black people own every statistical category that I just named. We don't have control over none of that. Over none of that. So we have been fighting an uphill battle for over 500 years, and you have the audacity to ask me, what do I mean by that? When you are a black man yourself, you know exactly what I mean by that. You are doing the white man's bidding by asking me that question, because you know, based off that question and the type of person that Deontay Wilder is, you know what kind of reaction you're going to get. Right? That makes you a part of doing the white man's bidding. It's better that a brother would ask that question than a white man, right? So the white man doesn't appear racist. But it's a brother that got to ask that question, right? Because the company that he works for, you know, That's what he's doing. That's what he asked that question for. Because the white man or his company that signs his checks will not ask him that question and wants someone like a Radio Raheem to ask those type of questions. So it'll be a softer blow and make it seem like, well, I didn't ask that question. Radio Raheem asked that question. I'm not racist, but Radio Raheem asked that question. Well, again, Radio Raheem knows exactly why Deontay Wilder mentioned that our people have been fighting for over 500 years. He knows exactly why. So that makes him and expose him as a Buckdancing Coon code author, as well as many other guys I'm listening to on YouTube who are acting like they don't understand why Deontay Wilder was angry. I don't understand why he was so angry. All the various reasons I just explained to you. That's the reason why Deontay Wilder, that's the reason why I am angry. Because of that. And because I switched my pick. And I want Deontay Wilder to knock the fuck out of Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury said his people, the gypsy people, have been mistreated and disenfranchised and all that stuff. Well, that pales in comparison to our people, our ancestors, who have been suffering for over 500 years since the first slave set foot on U.S. soil in 1505. Pales in comparison. That's why Deontay Wilder got upset. That's why I'm upset. And that's why a lot of these YouTubers who have made these who did these videos or in commentating on it are exposing themselves for being misinformed and not understanding the plight of Black America and Black society in our history, in our atrocities. You see? Completely lost. It exposed them. You know? See, I was, like I said, when I made my pick, I was talking about strictly boxing. I said, Tyson Fury is the better boxer. Gotta check this notification. Okay, I was checking my email. Anyway, I picked Tyson Fury because he's the better boxer. Right? I picked him because he's a better boxer. Right? After watching this video with Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, his press conference, and the way I understand the plight of Deontay Wilder and why he was so emotional. Because if Deontay Wilder had the same story and he had the same complexion as Tyson Fury, where he came back from drug addiction, substance abuse, lost a massive amount of weight, beat a 15-year reign champion and Vladimir Klitschko, and you know just lost a massive amount of weight and did a major comeback, he would be praised and be a household name in America. Deontay Wilder. His name would actually be Danny Wilder, not Deontay. Danny sounds more quote-unquote American than Deontay. Dan, you heard about Danny Wilder? Oh man, that guy, oh, I love him. Just the great white hope, right? You have that same exact story. If Deontay was white, he would be a household fucking name, straight up. Point blank and simple. But still, you know, the reason why Deontay Wilder is not a household name because he's just not properly promoted, but you also need to have the total package. Like I said before, you got to have the gift of gab. You got to have the fighting style that's pleasing to casual fans, which he does. And you have to be able to have that it factor that draws people in. You know what I'm saying? Like a Muhammad Ali, right? Where he was overt about who he was. I'm black and I'm proud. What you gonna do? Fuck the military. What's up? You know what I'm saying? And checking these white supremacists on their interviews. Saying that you're damn racist. You know what I'm saying? That's what kind of person Muhammad Ali was. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, I'm rooting for Deontay Wilder. I want him to win, not from just an emotional standpoint, from a logical standpoint. Deontay Wilder's at his peak. Deontay Wilder even though, like I said, even though he's not the best boxer technically in the world, he makes up for that because of his equalizer, which is that right hand that's filled with vibranium from Wakanda. That right hand that will knock anybody out. That straight right. And here's the key. From a technical standpoint, you know, Tyson's going to fight mostly in the southpaw stance. So Deontay Wilder needs to establish going to the body. He needs to go to the body, work his way up top. Just go to the body. Don't get mesmerized by them feints and all that stuff. Just attack the body and work your way up top. And he will slow down and fall like a tree. I don't want Deontay Wilder to go out head hunting and doing all that wild, crazy shit because, you know, he will get caught. Just take your time and go for the body and work your way up top, and that right hand will land. So I'm picking Deontay inside of 10 rounds to get him out of there. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I would not be surprised if he gets outboxed either. I would not be surprised because that was my original pick, but I have a right to change my pick. So I'm picking Deontay to stop Tyson inside 10 rounds. But I wouldn't be surprised if he gets outboxed. But I'm rooting for Deontay Wilder. I understand why you were angry. I will be very livid with that dumbass question by Radio Raheem. And shame on anybody who does not understand why Deontay Wilder, especially if you're black, understand why Deontay was so angry. Shame on you for not understanding the plight of black society for over 500 years of atrocities where we have not been rewarded reparations for free labor, mistreatment, disenfranchisement, subjugation, etc. And you want to talk about, well, I don't understand why he was angry. Well, maybe because he's from the South. Racism happens everywhere. It's a worldwide phenomenon. Debate me on that. I can show you proof. Look at my past videos. You already know what it is. It's the garbage truck. That shit loud as fuck too. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that, fam. I had a lot to say because I was driving back, dropping my kids off from school, and I was watching a few YouTube videos. I'm like, man, yo, let me talk about this shit. Let me talk about this shit, man. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, those are my thoughts about that, family. Leave your thoughts about if you saw the press conference between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury and the interview with Radio Raheem. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section, family. Till next time, Chauncey, a.k.a. The Black Separatist, signing out. Peace.